Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this whole video we're going to Bakersfield, California to talk about Todd Chance. Todd Chance was a chancer, and he shouldn't have taken a chance in August 2013. Yeah. You'd think that, after doing this for a few years, I'd be better at introducing videos, yet here we are. Todd Chance, text messages you'd slap a ham to. The main issue in this whole case is, did she ? Or didn't she ? What else do you need to know? Let's give it a go. Todd Chance and Leslie Janae Chance, who mostly went by Janae, married in 1996. They had met when they both worked at the same pharmacy. Janae had a daughter from a previous relationship, and Todd would raise her like his own daughter, along with his two actual own daughters he would have with Janae. Todd, of Bakersfield, California, to pay the bills he worked in the trucking industry. By 2013 he had worked in it for over a decade and a half. But in his free time he was all about, the old beep beep vroom vroom. His Mrs. Janae, she worked in education. She worked for the Greenfield Union School District for 16 years as a teacher, academic coach, and assistant principal, before becoming a beloved principal, dropped the assistant at Fairview Elementary School. That's, where they were until a hot day in late August 2013 rolled around. That morning, around 9 AM on the 25th of August, on an almond grove 11 miles away from the Chance abode, lay the body of Todd. The 45-year-old had been shot dead. Janae and Todd's family were then informed and interviewed. Janae would say that day, 'twas a Sunday, she'd been up early to get some work done as the school term had just begun, and she had seen Todd that morning about an hour before he was found.
7:30 to 8 this morning is when I left.
That morning, Todd had told his wife Janae that he was heading off to a gun show with his dad, and Janae was like, yep, grand, I'll see you later, and was doing the old clackety, whatever. She was working away that morning as he was out the door. The daughters then got up, and pottered around until, well, a few hours later, the police would be the bearers of bad news. The family was devastated, they couldn't believe he had been murdered. It was, unfathomable. It seemed that Todd had been shot twice at close range, and then dumped at that almond grove. His shoes were clean, so he hadn't, been walking around the farm. Also, no blood or bullets there. His wallet and cell phone also remained, so it wasn't a robbery. So that's, one clue, I guess, or lead. The second was that his car was not there. It wasn't at the farm, and he had a really nice car. He had a Mustang that he loved like his baba. The third was that someone was lying. See, Todd's parents would come to Bakersfield and they'd be like, Todd's dad? What? Gun show? Never heard of it. What are you talking about?
The last you heard that he was supposed to go to the gun show with you this morning? I didn't talk to him today.
There was also no reason for him to be in that part of town, but then that doesn't really matter because it seemed like he had been dumped there. He hadn't actually gone there. But he was left in an obvious place. His body was found pretty quickly. They said that, he wasn't dead long when they got to him. Leaving someone on a farm is only smart if you want them to be found. The next thing they learned was that one of his guns, and he was a big gun lover, him going to a gun show wouldn't be out of character. One of his guns that he kept at home was missing.
And one of them's missing?
Yes.
And that is the
38. And a holder.
A big old 38. Todd had been shot with a 38, and his gun was not found at the crime scene. So we got a man found with, say, he had no bad habits. He didn't hang out with, unscrupulous characters found dead on an almond grove 11 miles west of Bakersfield. He was killed with what appeared to be his own gun, and that gun was now missing. And the last time he was seen is about only 2 hours before he was found, telling his wife he was going to a gun show with his dad, a gun show his dad knew nothing about, so he was lying. Somebody here was lying. So where did he actually go? How did he get there if his car was nowhere to be found? Who did he meet? Which in turn caused him to meet his end. It wouldn't take long for Todd's beloved car to be found. It was discovered that same day, abandoned, in a neighborhood 20 miles away from where he had been left. And it wasn't in a nice neighborhood. This added to, well, it's a bit more here than just a simple carjacking or robbery or whatever. There's obviously definitely something more here going on than just a bang bang. For one thing, it's a beautiful car. It's a slap the hood and listen to that baby purr. Worth a fair few dollary dues. So leaving it, whoever left it there was hoping it wouldn't be left there for long. And not only that, the gun was found inside the car under the mat. So, yeah. Whoever did this just really didn't give a shit. Ah, sure, be grand. Don't worry about it. So now the investigation was in full swing, and the investigators decided to have a look at his phone, which was found right beside his body. They popped it open, had a go. On his phone, they found some slap-a-ham-worthy pics. They were hot. From a woman who most certainly was not Janae, obviously. It seemed at that point that Todd could have been having an affair, and that was why he had lied that morning about going to the gun show. Not only that, folk who lived near where Todd's car was found say they saw a middle-aged woman leave it there around the same time Todd's body was found that morning on the 25th. Nearby police found CCTV of this person. Following the direction the person was walking in, they found more CCTV. They saw her change clothing, discard items in the bag, which they were guessing, were used to clean the car, clean the crime scene. And then they saw her use a payphone at a Walmart and leave town in a taxi. They also found video of Todd's Mustang going to and from the almond grove to where it was found. And that woman whose racy pics were found on Todd's phone, they discovered who she was, and it was an old flame of Todd's, a woman named Carrie. She was someone he had been with in the 90s before getting with Janae, and she was like the one that got away, you know what I mean? Got away for like a bit, because now it seemed like Todd was, kicking things off once again with this Carrie. So, was that Carrie then in the CCTV? Well, no, detectives didn't think it was Carrie. So what the police did was they invited Janae down to the police station under the pretense of, getting Todd's car back. The police were done with the Mustang. And while she was there, they were like, hey, Janae, here, come here for a second. Come on, have a go with this, right? CCTV, do you recognize that person? They asked her if she recognized herself. Janae was arrested and charged with murder.
There are new details this morning following the arrest of a local elementary school principal who's now the main suspect in the murder of her own husband.
We do believe she is the person who drove his vehicle to that neighborhood and left it in that neighborhood and then walked away from the vehicle.
Within the last 90 minutes, we've learned that Leslie Chance was booked on first-degree murder charges 5 days after her husband Todd Chance was found brutally murdered.
This is heartbreaking for everyone. My client lost a husband, the father of her children lost a father, his family lost a son and a brother. There's no upside for anyone in a case like this.
Detectives were absolutely sure from her mannerisms and her reactions that she was responsible for Todd Chance's death. The CCTV footage, although you can't see the woman's face, they were positive it matched Janae. She was arrested 4 days after Todd's death. However, she wouldn't be inside for long. Only 4 days after she was arrested, the prosecutor would decline to file charges, as they basically said, CCTV is not really good enough, so she'd be let go. Frankly, the police shouldn't have even arrested her in the first place. They were going, off a hunch And they were using CCTV footage that looked like it was filmed on a potato, that the prosecutor said the jury's not going to go for that.
The district attorney's office is sending the case of Leslie Chance back to the sheriff's office for further investigation.
People were on the side of Janae.
Her character isn't that of what they're blaming her to be. My kids love her. My kids are excited that she's going to be out.
I seriously wouldn't picture her ever doing anything like that. Seriously, not the type of person.
Until she's proven guilty, I'm not going to believe it.
A lovely principal at an elementary school. Did she, do it? No way, Jose. In fact, her daughters are like, this is bullshit. One of Janae's daughters would say she had seen Janae working at a computer at 9:30 a.m., which, if it was her in the CCTV, would not leave her much time to get home at all. And Janae, of course, said she was working on the computer all morning, and her alibi, was clearly supported by her daughter. However, she was still in the police crosshairs. They believed she knew that Todd was sending salacious texts and was mad as hell. So, did the police have blinders on? Could it have been Carrie? Well, they did speak to her, and she said they'd actually stopped sending texts, and it never went beyond texts. They had stopped months earlier. It didn't look like Carrie in the video, and she was also proven to be 100 miles away that morning. And so the investigation continued. And now, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to roll your eyes into the back of your head and have your mind blown out the goddamn airlock, because many of them taken out in Todd's name, about $500,000. So Janae wouldn't get a penny, at least in the short term. The old Slayer statute, and the police weren't quite sure she wasn't the Slayer. But days would turn to weeks, would turn to months, would turn to years without any arrests. Money would slowly trickle out from the insurance companies into Janae's pocket. But Todd's parents, sure Janae had killed Todd, would go to court to ensure Todd's money went to the kids, not her. The investigation had now slowed to a crawl. It was getting colder and colder. Until, in 2015, a picture showed up. They had done a full search of the Chance household, documented everything and, what have you. Doing the old, police work, I believe it's called. And this picture caught the eye. Look at that. It's the Chances, the CSI experience in Las Vegas. I'm sure it's an absolutely stellar exhibition. Look at the joy on their faces. You might even insert shit pun here. It seems they'd gone to Las Vegas the summer before Todd's death. The investigators thought that was interesting because it seemed that whoever was in that CCTV footage, they knew a little bit about CSI. So the investigator went to Las Vegas, had a go. And in that experience, one of the experiences was about a woman who murdered her husband and dumped him in the desert. Inspiring. Different things from that experience seemed they seemed familiar. Using a payphone, changing your shoes to avoid detection. Weird. Almost like things Todd's killer had done. It's kind of funny, not in a ha-ha way. By this time, they also had Janae's fingerprints and DNA from Todd's car. Okay, that's fine. It was her husband's car, so hers would be, expected to be found there. But her fingerprints were on the driver's side door, and she said she never drove that car and couldn't even drive a manual. They also found this picture of Janae with the very murder weapon. One of Janae's daughters was brought in to confirm it was her in the CCTV, something she would later regret.
Is that your mother?
Yes.
I think we both know that. Is that your mother in all the videos?
I believe so.
They had also gotten more CCTV of that taxi and where it went. How about very close to where the Chances lived? They also found this CCTV from a few weeks before Todd's death, of Janae walking into a Walmart and asking where the payphone is, the same payphone the killer would later use. Janae also had 2 cell phones. There's no reason for her to go back to the 1970s and use a payphone. Then, finally, Janae's laptop that she used for work, technicians were able to confidently say it had not been used on the morning of the 25th of August, 2013. Janae had not been working. She could have been anywhere. Maybe in an almond grove, maybe walking around town wearing a lot of clothes to disguise her figure.
3 years ago, Leslie Jean Chance was arrested and considered the sole suspect in the death of her husband. She was arrested again, and now she's in jail without bail. She's set to be arraigned later today, this afternoon at 3 o'clock.
We developed enough, in our minds, enough information and evidence which makes us confident in our belief that Leslie Chance is responsible for Todd's murder.
It was on the 1st of December 2016 that Janae would be arrested again. Her trial would begin 3 years later, in 2019.
I anticipate through the evidence in this case that money was not the underlying reason for the murder of Todd Chance. In fact, I anticipate that you are going to hear that Todd Chance had rekindled a romance, a texting type of romance with his old flame. You're going to hear that when she watched those videos, that she began sobbing uncontrollably, put her head down on the table, and when the detective asked her, "Is that your mother?" she said, "Yes, yes." And then the detective asked her, "Was that your mother in all of the videos that I've shown you?" And her response was, "Yes." I anticipate when all of that evidence is presented to you, that you will find that the defendant, Leslie Janae Chance, through her actions, prepared a very involved and detailed lesson plan on how to kill her husband, how to murder him.
There are always 2 sides to every story. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt is proof that leaves you with an abiding conviction that the charge is true. And unless the evidence proves Janae guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, she's entitled to acquittal. You must find her not guilty.
The prosecution would say that on the morning of the 25th of August, they'd gone out for a drive together, Todd and Janae, and she had killed him with his own gun, dumped his body in an almond grove, drove to a neighborhood, cleaned the car, and then legged it. She had done this because he was flirting with another woman. Not only that, apparently in those saucy hubba texts Carrie and Todd were sending each other, they were also shite-talking Janae, which then, would make steam come out of her ears. And then also, she wanted his life insurance, of course she did. And, she was also just kind of sick of him. The defense went with, well, that was a shitty investigation that aimed at Janae and never left her. They had already arrested her and had to let her go, so therefore they really wanted to get her. They didn't want to look stupid. And one of her daughters said she saw her that morning even. Janae never went through Todd's phone. She had no knowledge of the texts. And regardless, there was no affair to begin with. It had stopped months before. And it was only ever just texts. And that couldn't have been her in the footage. The body type was off. Janae wore glasses, was blind without them, didn't have contacts, and didn't have prescription sunglasses. So that couldn't have been her. Or that's what she said. And then the prosecution brought up proof she owned 2 boxes of contact lenses. So that's embarrassing.
This is an innocent person. She did not kill her husband.
Money was there, it was an issue, but it was definitely a secondary one. The primary one was Carrie Williams. This was a murder committed out of jealousy.
You're an innocent person, and you're screaming from the top of your lungs, "I didn't do this."
The things that the defendant did to prepare for this plan are absolutely evidence, not just of identity, but also of premeditation.
What was Janae's motive? They keep coming up. We knew this, we knew this, we knew this, then show it. Show it that she knew.
After 8 whole days of deliberation, Janae was so positively sure they'd find her innocent she even asked her daughters to make sure they had her favourite snacks ready for her. Well, she won't be eating them.
Please publish the verdict.
Superior Court of California, County of Kern Metropolitan Division. The people of the state of California versus Leslie Janae Chance. First count. We, the jury, impaneled to try the above entitled case, find the defendant, Leslie Janae Chance, guilty of a felony, to wit, murder in the first degree.
The jury found her guilty and sentenced her to 50 years.
Knowing she's innocent. So I am shocked by the decision. I truly came here hoping, thinking that it was a not guilty verdict. And when they read it, I'm just numb. I don't understand this entire case. The motive happened to be supposedly because he was having an affair, to which every time that she was spoken to, interviewed, she had no knowledge. There's not a single person nor text or anything saying that she ever learned about the affair. The motive asked for money was asinine, if not ridiculous, from the get-go. And they even showed pictures of her with her belly hanging out, and supposedly that was a motive because they were seeing pictures of his ex-fiancée from about 20 years ago, showing nude photographs, and then supposedly my client knew about photos that depicted her in a bad light, which somehow angered her so much that she did this. And there's just no motive. There's absolutely nothing. And everything they kept trying to argue, we kept refuting.
Janae's daughter don't think it was her, that she did it. They believe her to be innocent. The daughter, who confirmed in the police interview it was Janae in the CCTV, would later walk that on back.
I deeply believe in my heart my mother did not do this. I will fight you to the day I die to prove this. My mom needs to be home with us. She needs to watch me be a mother to my 4 babies. She needs to watch my sisters grow up into the women they are becoming. Mom, I love you with every ounce of my being.
In fact, they say it's not even a woman in the CCTV. Most others would say they're wrong. Reinforced when Janae tried to get a new trial and was denied. But let me know your thoughts on whether Janae deserves to be behind bars or not, as many others believe too, including those who lost their father. Her getting out of prison was a chance that would not be taken, while Todd was a chance that was. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. I will see you as always real soon in the next one. Till then, take care of yourselves. I love you, Mike out.